Hi guys, Miss Crystal here for week 3 of Poppies. I am so excited that you've joined me for another great class, and I think we should get started. Okay, so on our first week, we began by drawing and including our yellow undertones. The next week, we added our oranges and reds and our darker colors to color in our petals. This week we're going to add slightly more shadow. You can see I added a little bit of shadow in there. I might add a little more shadow in here. And then we're gonna tackle the center part here. So let's get started. I've already moistened my watercolors here, and I do have 2 brushes. I know last time I said a little and a big brush, and I ended up only using my big brush, but I like to have you have a smaller brush. Usually I like a nice pointed brush. This one, I don't know if it's ever been used, so if you need to point your brush a little bit more, just get some water and twist it, and you'll see if it'll point nicely. And I don't know if you can see that, but that's actually a pretty nicely pointed brush. So my first thing I want to do is add my shadows in here. We talked about how you can find your light and shadow colors. So I have a scratch piece of paper. I'm going to move this just in case I accidentally paint on it. So with the Crayola Education watercolor set that I have here, I have several blues. I have this light blue. You can see it can get quite a bit lighter. Across from it, I have what I call my warm blue. Now it's much cooler than my light blue, but it still has a warmth to it. Here I have my cool blue, and you can see that it's definitely darker. A lot of people say, oh, that's not blue, it's purple. It's actually in the blue tone. So that's gonna be our shadow blue. And then over here we have, oh, what is it? Purple. So you can use purple as your shadow blue. It's how you would paint analogous colors. If you don't know the color wheel, it's a part of the color wheel where you paint opposites to get a neutral color. So I could do orange here. That's probably more of my red orange. Let's try our orange. There we go. And then I could use the blue, and it kind of mixes and it kind of becomes like, sorry, it's not blue, it's purple. And you can mix the two to get a grayish shadow color. Do you see that? I, however, don't paint as much that way as I do with more a shadow blue. This is really more how the Impressionists would have painted, and I just prefer it. Neither one is wrong. And of course you can add more and kind of mix it. You can also mix it on your palette here to get the color that you want. And basically it just turns it brown. Anytime you're mixing colors opposite on the color wheel, it tends to go brown, okay? So I am going to move this. This is my shadow blue. It's right here. If you don't have the same paint set, that is okay. Just find something that's kind of similar. Ultramarine blue would be a good blue for this if you have them labeled like that. Okay, so, and you may notice too, if you look really close, I do not paint super carefully. I kind of go outside the lines. There's a couple things you can do to kind of fix that. I'm going to grab a paper towel, and I can come in here and just kind of rub it. It's called scumbling. I got some droplets here. It always happens. I'm kind of a messy painter, if I'm honest. And I can rub, dab, and that'll lift some of the color. Now, that color is getting into my brush, so you may notice I'm rinsing my brush quite a bit. That's just because I'm trying to get fresh water, so I'm not spreading more color, I'm removing color. Now, I'm not too worried about this. I'm going to say, oh, that's good enough. Okay, so for my deeper, darker colors, my lovely blue, I want to thin it out. I'm not adding a lot of water to it. I am just taking the water that's in my brush and rubbing it out. The reason for this, if I add a lot of water to it, it's actually going to lift the color just like we did in here. And I don't want to lift the color, I want to add color. Now, as I'm doing this, I might, oops, wrong color. Let's dab that so I don't make that mistake again. There we go. I'm going to come in here. I kind of like to outline. I'm going to take some of that water off of my brush, and then I'm just going to spread that out. And I'm just lifting it. I don't know if you notice, I'm kind of taking and wiping my brush. Now, in certain spots, my color is coming up. And so I can just come back in and dab my orange. I'm dabbing my orange mostly because if you do the lines, you're going to lift that under layer. And I don't want to lift my under layer of colors. I worked so hard to get them there. You can also still use red too. So red is a nice darker color, but do you see the difference in when I add the blue from when I add the red? Here I'm just going to add a little more orange to my brush so it blends a little bit better. But I do want some shadows in those different areas. I can take, now there's a little bit of orange in my brush. I'm just going to clean that off because once again, I made brown. It's not bad, but I'm going for more blue here. Thin it out, just gentle circles. And then I want to come in here. I'm going to add a little bit of a shadow here because wherever you see light, like up here on the edge, there's quite a bit of light. There's quite a bit of light up in here. I want a shadow right next to that. And then I'm going to rinse my brush. It's pretty dry. It's just barely moist. And then I'm just going to take on the edge and I'm doing gentle little circles to soften that edge. Gentle little circles. Just itty bitty baby circles. I'm going to dab, dab, dab. Don't want to lift the color. I want to apply the color. So here I'm getting some nice little shadow. Now this is pretty dark. I don't want to overdo it with the dark. So I'm just softening that. If it does get too dark, you're like, oh, that's supposed to be light, just dry your brush. It won't take all of the stain away of the watercolor, but I can relift it. I can, once again, kind of lift that way. And then if I need to, I'm gonna come in with a little bit of yellow and re-purify it. Oh, yellow. Just because I kind of lifted some of the color too. It's right there especially. I want some more yellow in there. It's beautiful. Okay, so add as much shadow as you want. You could add more shadow in here, but I really want to get going on my center area. And I noticed that I actually have a little bit more orange that I need to bring up in here a little bit, and some more red to get to that darker area, and that should be good. Okay, so let's look at the center of our flower, darlings. So we actually have a greenish color here. Can you see that? Right in here, kind of a greenish color. But since it's more shadowy, it's in the center of the flower, I want to tame that greenish color down a little bit. So I'm going to find, once again, pulling out my practice paper. I'm going to move that, and that's not a bad green. It's a little bright. What about this one? Oh, that's even brighter. Oh boy. What am I going to do? And then I have a blue-green. Okay, that's a little too blue. So what can I do when I want something that's a little darker? I'm going to go with my dark green. Ooh la la. And of course I could add an analogous color here, or I could add brown, because we know that analogous colors opposite on the color wheel will turn brown. I can also just add a little bit of brown. You may notice I just put a dot of brown, and then I'm going to mix it because I'm just a little bit at a time trying to tame it down. Oh, see, now that's a little bit more. I'm going to add a little more green. Oh, that's pretty close, I would say. Let's check it out. Oh, see, isn't that lovely? Oh my goodness, that's fantastic. So now I'm going to come in and uh-oh, did you notice that I didn't finish drawing my flower? Uh-oh, not the end of the world as we know it, even though I feel fine. So So I'm going to come in here and I'm just going to, I kind of know where I need to go with this. So I don't always trace everything. I mostly trace things for my adult classes because adults are a little more nervous about drawing. Even though I used to teach and we would draw everything, and they did such a fantastic job if you break it down for them. But we're trying to make it where people are feeling comfortable doing art, especially adults, because a lot of adults were told they couldn't be artists when they were young. So we're not encouraging the lies of no one can be an artist unless they're an artist. That's not true. Let's not even go there. Anyone can be an artist if you invest the time into it. Because some people say, oh, you're just born to be an artist. Most of the people that I know that are born to be an artist actually never become artists. It's the ones that struggle and strive and just do it because they love it. So let's do some art. I'm going to add some of my shadow blue here. And just while it's wet, right next to the purple, sorry, not the purple, right next to the green, it will be next to purple. And I'm just kind of breaking those areas up. Now it's looking a little more blue than I want it to, so I'm going to rinse my brush, dry it off, add some more of the Fabuloso green. And I'm just dotting it on there because the dotting up and down, dot, 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 will help the color stay where I want and not lift the color. There's no lifty colors, people. Okay. Well, this is looking quite good. Now, do you see this? I got a little bit on top of my orange. Not the end of the world. Just going to try and lift it. And I can also, I don't have to lift with a paper towel. I can dry my brush. And this can get much smaller and I can lift. Now, I am not going to paint any orange on top of my petal right now because it's right next to some wet and I don't want it to mix, also known as bleeding. Okay, so I'm seeing that in the middle here, I have some more green. Oh, look, I have more spaces too. I'm not too worried about that. So we're gonna come right here in the middle. Hello, little green. Why do I sing? Well, people, first of all, it makes me happy. And I used to work with preschoolers, and that's what you call survival. Because if you sang, they would listen. And that's survival when you're working in a class of small children. So we'll just come in here, and I think singing is good for the soul. Oh, there we go. See how I dotted just a little bit of my shadow blue right there? Because I want it to feel deeper. And I have a little dip in there. So that's that right there. Okay, so I want to be careful about, I'm going to lift this right here. I went a little over the edge. That's okay, just lift it. It's good. Okay, so I don't want to paint right here anymore until it's dry. It'll dry pretty quickly, and depending on your weather, if it's really humid, it takes a lot longer. But I'm going to come in here and I'm going to paint some of these areas now because I want to let that dry before I come back in. Now I am noticing that I have a little overlap. I'm just going to add a little more dark blue. You can see it's more potent. Now in the picture, do I see that? No, I actually see it lighter, but I have that orange mixing. So it's really me as an artist covering up something that isn't going the way I want it to. And I just add a shadow. No problem. No problem. It's okay. No problem. Okay. That looks pretty good. Okay. So shall we go to our darker color? Now, a lot of people say never use black. I don't say never use black. I say don't use black until the very end. Black is great for outlines, illustrations. Love black. But if you want it to be a little more natural of a black, instead of going straight for your black, go for your dark blue and your brown. So if you were mixing colors that are, now you see my brown is a lot more liquefied because it's more wet. That's why it just turned brown. But if you were going for paint tubes, it would be ultramarine blue and it would be burnt umber are the colors that you're going to use. I gotta liquefy. Ooh, I'm going to need some more shadow blue soon. So this depending on how thick your paint is, this is a natural gray black color. Okay, now I have some orange that's in the mix here. So I can also take a little bit of black if I want it deeper too, and I can mix it. See how, and let me dry my brush. I'm like, oh, see how it's less see-through? It's totally see-through. It becomes less and less transparent. So, but in this instance, I'm okay going with black. If I don't want it super thick, I once again can thin it. That doesn't look that much different from our natural black that we did, right? So I'm going to start first with kind of and it's just thinned down from the water in my brush. But if I need to, I can add a little bit of thickness, okay? So let's see, I think I'll start over here. Since I'm right-handed, I want to start on the left and move right. It just makes it so you don't get your paint in the mix. Ooh, look at that. So pretty. Oh, people, did you notice there's orange here? Oh, snap. I totally missed that. That's okay. We'll just work with it. Now, I could just fake it and take the color all the way down, but I think I'll stick with my image and just go for it. I can always add a little more darker in there. Oh, I like that. Coming in here, trying not to break up this petal too much. I want it to seem realistic. And here we go. I'm just gonna, I like to trace my stuff a lot, honestly. I like to trace around it, especially if it's a small space. I trace, oh, there's orange in there. Oops. We'll add a little more orange, but I kind of covered it up. This is where, as an artist, you're like, you know, it's a happy little accident. Yes, thank you, Bob Ross, for that. You do make my job easier, Mr. Ross. Okay, here we go. Ooh, do you see how I just dug in that black? I wasn't even thinking about it. It is a little darker. It is a little thicker. I'm going to thin it out a little bit. And I added a little bit of my already thinned down. And I just am outlining. Do you see how I'm kind of sketching? I'm going boom, boom, boom. Mostly because if you see the petal, it's not just straight. It's jagged. So I'm wanting to show that jaggedness. Give it some character. I want it pretty thick and dark. I can always dig from here. Now I dug from this part, the black, and mixed it with this because I'm going to use the liquid that was already in this area. Otherwise, it's just really thick. Can I use it? Absolutely. I can totally just go straight here. But I like the smooth feeling of my paint being wet. There is a dry method, but I'm not doing that here because I want it smooth. The dry paint method is more for if you want it to look sketchy, like you're doing a bush or a tree. And I'm not doing that right now. So I'm just gonna keep working it away right here. Ooh, outline. And when I'm outlining, I'm just using the very tip of my brush. I am not pushing hard on it. See, dry brush method. I'm just using the tip, okay? And then I'm just going to fill it in. It's really important the direction your brush is going, because just like our flower petals, we want it to go towards the center. Because if you're looking here, it kind of moves inward, and I want to go with the direction I'm seeing. This also plays into if you're doing animals, painting animals. Oh, I did it again. I keep going over my edge. That's okay. I'll lift it in just a little bit. I'm not too worried about it. I am liking that potent black though. Okay, rinse my brush. Dried it off just a tiny bit. Rub, rub, rub. Now black is quite a bit of a darker color, so I won't be able to lift the whole thing. But I can get it a little more crisp. Come in here. Even though that's a really light petal, I'm just hiding my mistakes here. See, I feather it out because with watercolor, it can leave a harsh edge. I don't want that harsh edge. Okay. So I'm gonna do this area now, yay. Oh, my brush is a little too wet, and I'm rolling it. I'm drying it off. I'm taking some of the water, but there's still, this is pretty moist. You can see that, I don't know if you can see that, but there's a little moisture on my finger from it. Just add a little bit more potent color. And I'm just gonna outline jagged, jagged, jagged edge. And fill it in. I'm gonna add, it seems a little thin, so I'm just gonna add a little more thick paint. Oh, that's gorgeous. Okay, that's going pretty good for me, I'd say. Okay, now up here, it wasn't quite as thick. I can come in, I'm just gonna fill in some of that black because I want it nice and black. And I don't know that until I start painting, honestly. Sometimes you're like, how black do I want? Do I want it more gray? Do I want it more black? And that will vary as you go. This is one of the reasons that you save black until last. One thing, it'll mix with your other colors if you get it wet. So you want to be really careful about that. But also, when you have more concentrated colors like I have right here versus when I start, it'll change how my picture looks and the intensity of the darkness that I need. Ooh, very nice. Okay. Let's see. Are we dry here? We're pretty dry here. You can also use the back of your hand because the back of your hand doesn't feel stuff as much as our fingers do. And so we may not be able to be as sensitive on our fingertips as we are here because we don't always feel with the back of our hand. I'm just gonna fill in a little bit more, make it match. Oh, I like it. I can always add layers, and layers are good. Okay. Now, did I take that a little deeper? I did. Oopsie doopsie. That's all right. I'm not going to add any more orange red right there yet. I will need to remember to do that. Don't want to forget. So what I can do while I'm waiting is I'm letting the inside dry. I'm going to do my leaves on the outside. So I want to go with a lovely green. I can see some are a little darker down here. So I'm just going to go with my green here, my darker green. I am going to make sure it's nice and watery because I do kind of want my yellow to show through. I'm just coming in here. And if I want my yellow to show through more, I dry off my brush. And remember, I can lift some of that wet color just with a dry brush. Okay, so I have two tones. I have yellow, I have green. Now I'm gonna add a little bit of shadow with my shadow blue on the opposite side. It's a little thicker already. I like to do this when it's wet. And see how that adds just a nice little shadow. If I need to pick up any color, I can just dry my brush off. There we go. And it's a little out of line, but I'll just smooth that out. There we go. Oh, I like it. I like it a lot. I could come in a little bit darker if I want to. Oh, that doesn't have any paint on it. Let's try that again. And if it's lifting too much, I can always add, remember that middle tone. My middle tone here is my green. So if it's lifting the color, then that tells me I need more of my middle tone. Okay. And maybe less water in your brush. Okay, I'm gonna keep going. Grab my green, this is my darker green. I need a little more water. You can tell I need more water, it's a little sketchy. And I can actually mix it here on the palette. It makes it a little bit easier. It might thin it out so I can just thicken it. See how I'm scumbling or rubbing to get a little more thickness and color. Now, this is pretty thick. I'm not seeing much of my yellow. And depending on the kind of yellow you have, I know my yellow tends to be almost more waxy. So once again, I can take and dry off my brush and lift it a little bit to get that yellow green. Now, could I do this when it's wet? I could do this when it's wet. I like to do the yellow first and let it dry though, because I like to be able to show this all together and not just have my colors mix. I feel like I have a little more control over it when it's like this. Now, you may wonder, what if I use my warm blue? Well, let's try it. Get a little warm blue, dab it. Now, see, that's very natural looking. That's really nice. Can I use a different blue? I can. Some blues, depending on the colors you add, will turn more gray. So that's working pretty good. Oh, guess what? I also have blue-green on my palette. Could I use that? Like, Crystal, you forgot to paint your green. I know. It's okay. I didn't forget. I'm just showing you different styles. Come in here and paint. And see how I'm using the tip. Now, if this is hard for you to get in there, guess what? You can use your smaller brush. I am so accustomed to painting with the tippy tip. Oh no, that happens sometimes, people, that I can just use the very tip and not worry too much. Now, do you see how that darker blue-green is looking pretty nice? This is a little watery. I added too much water. Take some of that off. Add a little more green. Oh, look at that. Now, if this is too light, then I'm going to come in with a slightly darker. And I'm just using my warm blue right here because I did think it was kind of gorgeous. But maybe it's not dark enough for me. And then I can come in here with my dark blue. Oh, there we go. Oh, shadow. And whenever you're adding a shadow, think of where your light is. See, I'm just going to lift that. I accidentally painted green where I didn't want it at this time. I will want some later, but not right now. Okay. I think I was saying something, but I forgot. Apologies. Okay. Come on in. Add some more green. And we're just moving all over. Oh, I was talking about light and shadow. So as you can see, I've kind of chosen down here, my light is coming from the right. At least it's my right. I don't know if that'll show up on the video as a left or a right. Sometimes the video flips it and it's funky. I'm going to lift that color with the dry brush so that yellow shows through. Now, if it's not showing through as much as I want, I'm just going to get my brush wet because my paint is a little sticky right now. It just means it's in between being wet and being dry. I can add a little more yellow there. I can add a little bit of shadow there. Just dot, 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 dot. Ooh, look at you. And as I'm going, I might say, hey, I want a little more shadow here. So this kind of pushes back and my leaves kind of pull forward. Ooh, oh. And I always like to do a little bit on the edge there so it looks like a nice crisp shadow. But I don't want just a solid line. I want a faded line. Fade you out, fade you out. It's all about feathering, people. That is an official art term where you just go doo, 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 doo. It's kind of like scumbling, but it's more wet. So keep on going. Go for my green. Going green now. The nice thing is, as I'm working, I'm kind of working all over. And I can come back in and add more shadow if I feel like I need to. Even if it dries out a little bit, I can add some shadow as well. I'm being really careful with this one. I almost want to change to my smaller brush. But as I said, I'm pretty accustomed to working really finely with a bigger brush. So if you feel like, oh, I don't feel that comfortable. After all, Miss Crystal, I haven't been teaching for 20 years and doing art for 20 years. If you have, then hey, use your bigger brush. But if you're like, oh, I just feel more comfortable with the smaller one, oh, then you go for it, honey child. Just have a good old time. That's what art should be. Should be, you know who should be the happiest people on earth besides people at Disneyland? Artists. Because we do what we love every day. Okay, can you see that lovely brush stroke? And it's a little bit thicker. It kind of puddles right there. I'm okay with that. I'm okay with a little bit of a puddle. Okay, let's come in with a little bit of shadow. I'm going to start with it behind here. Also, by dabbing it, it helps it to stay in the place I put it. Ooh, I like that. Now I'm feeling like my front leaf should be a little bit lighter. I'm going to do my light green. I can always come in with the darker on top of it if I'm like, well, it doesn't look as good as I thought it would. That's okay. I can do that because I got the power. And I'm feeling a little blue-green on here. Ooh, I like that. Do you like that? I like that. Let's see. Where's my blue-green? I was going for my dark blue. I'm like, oh, not what I want. A little bit back here. Now, remember, when it's wet like this, I'm not getting defined edges. I'm getting blurred edges. So if I want more definition, I have to let this dry, and then I can come in here and paint it a little more defined. Okay, I'm just gonna blur that out. Oh, hello. I like that. This needs blended a little bit more. Very nice, very nice. Okay, that's nice. I like that. Okay. Whew. That's lovely. Now I see that I have a little guy back here. I couldn't see it. That's all right. I'm just going to come in with some of that green. I'm going to go with my darker green now because he's further behind. And I feel like my green is a little bit on the thick side. So I'm going to rinse my brush, dry most of it off, and just spread it onto the yellow. See how that's spreading so nicely? And then I'm just going to take, I think I'll use my warm green. Just because I want to. A lot of this just after you paint for a long time, it just becomes instinct. You don't even necessarily know why you're painting in a certain way. You just know that's what it needs. And if you're not there yet, that's okay. Just keep painting. You'll get there. Okay. Okay. I might even outline this just so it pops it a little bit. Ooh, look at that. Yep, I like that. Okay. And we'll just keep going with this. Now, so I don't drip all over my painting, I like to flip it upside down when I'm going for things more on the top. So once again, coming in with my lighter green. Actually, that's my darker green. My bad. And I'm just gonna see how I'm scumbling because my color went over my line. Now I could have made that a new line, but if I rub it enough, it just becomes like a shadow, and I'm okay with that. It's pretty transparent, aka see-through. And I'm feeling this already has some green, it has some blue. I'm going to use my blue green and dab it in there. Remember, anytime I have a light, I need a shadow right next to it because it makes it awesome. Ooh, look at that. I like that. And you always want to have a bit of a gradient. That means you go from dark towards light. Anytime something is overlapping something, there's going to be a little natural shadow created. So I've darkened that there, and then I'm just going to lighten and spread the love, spread that color just a little bit. And I'm going to take that all the way here. I might lift a little bit of the yellow again, just because it's getting a little bit lost. I'm really liking that blue-green. Now this one is further back, so I might come in and yes, I'm going to do my shadow color again first. Oh snap, people, I know, break it up, it's cool. There we go. And then I'm just gonna take my green. Maybe I'll use my, I was gonna use my lighter green, but I think I'll use my green I was using before. And I'm dabbing it on top because I don't want to lift that blue, but I want to add some green on top. Once again, I'm making a blue-green. It's a cooler blue-green. You can look at it. It looks darker than this green that is my actual blue-green. And then I'm just going to come in here. I have some little yellows coming outside of the edge here. And you can just do the lines like with my brush over the yellow because it's dry. But if the blue, like my darker blue here, is not dry, then I'm just gonna dot it. And I'm gonna come in here, make a little shadow right next to that leaf so they don't look like the same. I'm creating a darker effect. Ooh, there we go. I'm gonna add a little shadow because there's another leaf right there. Now, I don't know if I meant to do a tiny itty bitty leaf, but I did, so that's okay. I'm using my lighter green now because I really want that to seem like it's a separate leaf. I wipe off my brush because I want to kind of lift some color a little bit. There we go. That's looking pretty fantastic, actually, people. I'm loving it. Now, you may ask, why did you do color right there? Well, I wanted an outline. As an illustrator, I love my outlines. And I just used the green because it is darker. It's not bright yellow. It's not bright orange. This is deeper. It just makes it look like a nice little outline. When I add my color, that's going to fade a little bit, but it'll still have a little bit of an outline. Okay, people, I'm turning this direction. Now, this is kind of fading a little bit. I can add a little bit more. Remember, it fades because there is so much water and it's just blurring. If I want more of an outline, I can always do that when it is dry. There we go. I like that. Keep in mind too, if I want to, I can add a little bit of yellow right on the edge. See how it's just brightening that up. Now that's pretty thick yellow on there. There we go. Okay, once again, I have my highlight. I'm going to add my middle tone. And I am just so accustomed to taking from my paint little pieces. If you have the paint tube though, and it's fresh out of the paint tube, you may not want to dip straight into here because that's going to be super concentrated, right? So it's better to mix it up, or if you have where you stick a little bit of paint and you have a little well, then use it from the well. Okay, we're just going to come in here. Outline again. Miss Crystal, you like your outlines. Yes, I do. I love my outlines. It makes me happy, people. It's a happy day. It's a happy day. I'm going to dot really close because remember, I have a light area. Whenever there's two areas coming together, you want one to be more dominant. I usually pick the one that's closer because it would have, I just imagine that it would have more light on it. And then the one behind would be a little more shadowed. There we go. And then once again, that's a little darker. I could also lift this a little bit, make that a little bit lighter, but I'm gonna add a little bit more shadow on the edge. Remember, dabbing, not rubbing. Ooh, hello. I'm gonna come in with some dark blue next door. Now, is it kind of mixing? Oh my goodness, it's totally mixing. Could I have let it dry first? I could have. But one thing you need to know about me, I'm not very patient. So I know that I can always fix it later. It's fine. We're going to come in here. Oh, that's a little too dry. Getting a little scratchy effect. Sometimes that's okay, but I'm really not a dry brush kind of gal. I'm a smooth, wet kind of brush kind of gal. Dot, 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 dot. It's getting really wet, so I want to be careful about how much more color I'm adding on here, but I can lift some color by drying off my brush and lift that edge. Oh my, look at that. That's kind of fabulous. I popped into my warm blue just because I wanted to. Now this is really, as I said, it's really blurring. I'm gonna have to come back in later with an outline. I can just tell. So I'm gonna stop playing with that, but I'm not done playing. I'm gonna come in with my shadow blue right next door. Then add some green on top. I might do my light green. I got a lot of colors going on there. I want to break it up a little bit. And this works so great because what colors make green? Oh, well, I'm so glad you asked that, Miss Crystal. Yellow and blue. I'm just using the colors that are natural to the color I'm using, green, and I'm just blending them together. Can I add a little bit more yellow? I can. Ooh, it's gooey. There we go. Now I accidentally mixed some green in here. I'm just going to moisturize and lift. Now, as I said, this is the problem with my color right now. My yellow is super gooey. I don't know if you can see that. It just needs more moisture. It's just kind of getting dry, so just add a little more moisture to it. It's fine. It's fine. Come in here. Add a little bit. I have a little bit of a petal that's coming in there, so I'm just scumbling it, rubbing it well. Now I could leave that nice and light like that. That's fine too. But I'm gonna add a little blue-green in here. Ooh, look, looky people. And then I'm just gonna blend that out. So I have that darker edge to that lighter edge. I dried out my brush. I'm kind of allowing a lighter edge there. Okay, how are we doing? We're doing fabuloso. Okay, this is dry. I want to come in with my red orange. I might start with my orange first. I just like to do that. I like to start with the lighter middle tone first, and then I'm going to come in with some red orange right here. Now, since I have the black, it may bleed a little bit, but I'm not too stressed about it, honestly, just because it's shadowy area anyway. If it was a lighter area, I might be more concerned, but I'm not too concerned. So I did orange, I did red orange, and now I'm doing red. And I noticed I missed a spot right in here. Fill that in. Yeah. There we go. We're gonna outline this a little bit. There we go. Okay, so that's looking pretty good. Still need to work on my center area here, and I will need to work on my background, but I figure I'll save the background for next time. All right, so let's continue with, let's see. Next, I think we should work on this area right here. We can see that there are some purples, and really this is a little more bluish in the center. We got a little blue-green. I'm pretty okay with that. So I'm switching over to my small brush. Well, I might use my bigger brush for color mixing though. I'm gonna clean off my palette. There we go. And I'm gonna start with purple. I have this lovely purple here. It's kind of it has a lot of blue in this purple. If I wanted more pink, which I might, I have this color too that I can use. Now, I want to tame this color down just a little bit. So I'm going to add a tiny bit of black. I'm going to try both of them out, see how they look. That one is actually really close. I was thinking it would be more the purple, but let's see how this one looks. Oh, that's not bad either. I like that. I think I might go a little closer to this one though. So we're just gonna come in here, test it out. You never know how it looks until it's on the paper. I think I'm just gonna outline a little bit on the left side. Seems almost more shadowy on that side. My lighting's a little bit different in here. I don't know if you can see the shadows I'm creating. I did have to take a little break because I had to go teach a class, and now I'm back. So if you're like, wow, the lighting really changed. Yeah, it's because it was early afternoon and now it's later evening. that can definitely change the color that you're seeing. I'm liking this. I might use a little of that darker in there. Ooh, that darker purple. All right. So on the top edge, it does have some lighter. Now, sometimes when I do lighter like that, I like to use a white gel pen, but I think I'm just gonna try and see if I can leave the paper. Oh, let's see. It's always so hard to tell what to do next. I might mix a little of this pink. Ooh, that's a lot of pink. And maybe some purple. I just want to see what happens when I mix the two together. That is not too bad. I want to see what it looks on a practice paper, because you can never tell really what color it'll be until you put it on there. I don't know. Does that look kind of close to you? What do you guys think? I think it's pretty close, and then I'll add a shadow of blue maybe. Of course, we're never going to match something perfectly. We can try, but nothing will be perfectly matched. So we just get kind of close. Trying to leave a little highlight on one side. We'll see how that goes. I might have to re-outline again. Let's see. Now this side is more my highlight side. And I don't want a solid line. I want to kind of break it up. Breaking it up, it still seems like a line, but it's less concentrated. There we go. So I paint about half of it, and then I'm just gonna dot. I don't know, I think it's okay. Yeah, I think I'm okay with that. I can always redraw my shadow if I need to. And I know I tell you, always save the darker for last. It's really not that much darker. It is, but I don't think it's gonna be, if it blends, it's not gonna be like the end of the world. So one thing to notice is for the highlights, we have a highlight on this side and then we have the highlight on this side. Usually you break it right down the center, and that's the difference on where the highlights are gonna be. Now here we have highlight of a little bit of lighter on each side. So we'll just kind of make it up as we go along. So I'm just gonna dot, 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 kind of break up that space. Dot, 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 dot. I might even make this a little bit darker. Sometimes you have to adjust the color as you're going. I might need a smaller brush, but I'm just using the tip of this to really get that little dot. Okay, now I'm gonna switch sides because this is right in the center. So now I'm gonna dot this side. I think that's looking pretty fair. So now I'm painting on the left side, and I'm just going to dot, 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 dot. If you have too much color in your brush, this might become a little bit hard, but as I said, you can also use a white gel pen to bring some of that brightness back. I was gonna grab one and show it to you, but I don't have one with me. I like the Signo gel pens. I like the 1 point. A lot of them are like 0.5 or 0.7, but they tend to die really quickly. So by having it a larger ballpoint, it just helps it not to die. It helps it to last a little bit longer. Okay, dot, 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 dot. I probably am going to come in with a slightly darker area too. Maybe that same black with that purple, maybe the darker version of it though. Not the pinky purple, but the darker. Just to really help give myself a shadow. Dot, 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 just barely touching the tip of the brush. Dot, dot, dot. I'm thinking that's pretty good. Okay, I've rinsed my brush. Now I'm gonna come back in here and get some more of the shadow going, and I'm just dotting it, giving it a little texture. So I'm putting it on the shadow side. I accidentally covered some of my white. I'm not too concerned about it. I still have some lighter in there. And that is just that purple, the dark purple mixed with a little bit of black. Obviously, it has some liquid from the brush in there. That just takes it to that next step. Okay. I don't think that's too shabby, honestly. I feel like there's a little more dark in here. I'm going to take some more in there. This is pretty dark in here. Make that a little shadowy, and then I'm going to just take some water and soften it. I'm going to soften this side too, because I feel like it had kind of a rough edge on it. There we go. Oh, see, now I got another rough edge. There we go. Okay, so now we're going to go for these areas. I feel like it's kind of black and with some grayish. Might have some purple in there, but I think I'll use my lighter areas first. So take a little bit of black. Whenever you're making gray with watercolor, typically you don't use white. We want to use instead just water. So I'm going to take some water. I'm going to check it out on my practice sheet. That's not too far off, I don't think. Now this might be a little more purple. I'm okay with that. If you want to tame it down, you could always add a little bit of dark blue to it. But for now, I think I'm okay with this for now. As I said, now I will show you what you can do. A little bit of dark blue, just really thin. So once again, like adding a shadow. If I want to tame it down a little bit, I could just add, oops, where am I going? Right here. And maybe tame down some of the, it doesn't look that much different. You never know how it'll look until you try it out. Okay, gray. I'm gonna come in here and I'm just gonna look at the angles these are going. This is kind of angling down. Over here, it's angling up a little bit. So these, I want to be completely dry before I move on. I can add a little more dark in here too. Keep wanting to stick my brush in the wrong color. That's okay though. I'm not too stressed about it. Just add some of these lighter areas. And if it's too dark, you can always lift a little bit of color. I just dried out my brush. I'm wiping it in my paper towel. I'm liking that a little bit lighter. That's nice. It is pretty nice. I like that. Keep in mind, this is going to be much darker, so I'm just working it. I can even go, there's a little bit of gray in here with some of the orange. It's kind of more gray than black. See how just adding a little bit and getting it wet, kind of, it's orangey grayish. That's fine. Different angles. I think I want to do a little bit of shadow here, a little dark blue to really help that stand out. Do I see that in my picture? No, it's actually a little brighter. It's more on this side that's a little darker, but this was just looking so blurred. I'm like, no. So now I kind of have to let this dry a little bit. While I'm letting it dry, guess what? This is supposed to be orange in here, or an orange red. So I'm going to take a little orange, a little red, It's these areas. I keep just missing those. And that's okay. That happens when you're painting. You just come back in. Oops, there we go. Come back in later. So as I'm letting things dry, I'm just going to come in here, maybe outline some stuff to make it pop a little bit. Is it really that dark in that area? Not really, but to make sense in my painting, I am adding a little more dark. Because every layer I add makes it less light. So think of it as if I was painting on glass and light was shining through. And my first layer I paint, it takes and blocks a little bit of the light. And then the next layer blocks a little bit more. And the next layer blocks a little bit more. That's kind of what it is to paint with watercolor. You're hiding the white, you're hiding the light of the picture, and each layer will block it. Now, when you get to a certain amount, you can't really block that color anymore because it will only go so dark. My reds will only go so dark. That's why we're using the darker blue here. I'm gonna cover that a little bit. Oh, that's nice. I so love when we added the black because I feel like it just helps to tie the whole picture together. Okay. So time-wise, we are actually out of time. This would be heading into week 4. I feel like we got a good stage going on. We'll finish this part and then we'll do our background for week 4. All right, guys, I hope you enjoyed this and I look forward to seeing you next time. Bye.